The nastiest thing about The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 is the Part 1 part. And I say that because this movie hits all the right notes. I really liked it. But the truth is that it gets you really, the best thing about it is that it gets you really stoked for Part 2. Because Part 1 is where Batman comes out of retirement and we get introduced to the universe and we get reacquainted with the characters and all their situations. But Part 2 is where all the mind-blowing shit happens. Technically, I think this movie excels. I love the animation. I love the way that they blended the Timverse animation with the graphic style from the graphic novel. And keep in mind, I haven't read the graphic novel in years. So if there are any big changes to the plot, I personally haven't noticed them. Going back to the animation, I love the fact that we have people of all shapes and sizes. Because with the Timverse animation style, everybody basically looked the same and had the same shape unless they were overly fat or anything like that. But in this one, we have tall people, we have short people, we have skinny people, we have fat people. Lana got fat! The animation also excels in terms of the action scenes and the fight choreography. I love the fights in this because of the sound design and the way that they were animated and the way they were conceived, because it actually feels not necessarily like a real fight, but more realistic than the overly acrobatic fights that we usually have in these superhero animated movies. You could also feel the tension in the air when Batman was just coming out of retirement and you didn't know if he could still actually do everything that he's supposed to do. You couldn't tell if he could still perform to the level that he needed in order to get the job done. But in terms of the characterization of Batman, I think the most important thing that this movie needed to accomplish was to deliver that idea that, Bruce Wayne / Batman is not alright up here. That's the thing that the graphic novel did the best, the deconstruction of this character, showing his inner process and how fucked up it is compared to the rest of the world. Now, the movie doesn't delve into this that deeply, but it does lay the groundwork for what I think will be an excellent Part 2. Where the movie disappointed me a little was some of the voice work. The guy they got for Commissioner Gordon was not that great. I did like the girl who played Robin. I think Peter Weller did an okay job as Batman. It did feel very similar to what Kevin Conroy was doing in his prime. What I also loved is the soundtrack. This movie has one of the best soundtracks that I've heard in animated movies in recent years, and I think it's because they are trying to emulate Hans Zimmer and his scores for the new Batman movies a little bit. Not that I particularly mind, I think it can stand on its own, but you definitely feel Hans Zimmer's influence in this. Maybe the movie is a little dry at some points, and that could have been helped with some better voice acting, because there are some scenes that don't really carry the same emotional weight that I felt while reading them. Maybe some more emotion in the voice acting could have helped that, but it's really not that big of a deal. Overall, the atmosphere that this movie sets is great. You really feel like Gotham is under siege from the criminals, like the situation is desperate enough for Batman to come out of retirement. But like I said, the balance between Batman the genius and Batman the fucking insane one is the most important thing to achieve for this animation to work, and frankly I think that The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 did achieve that.